started to try to prep his weapons so he could shoot everybody. But then it dawned on me that this was the moment to disarm him.
Quick thinking and heroic action. Law enforcement crediting the man you just heard from for stopping a mass shooter from killing even more people during Lunar New Year celebrations in Southern California. And this evening we have new video in showing the moments where Brandon Say struggled with that shooter and eventually disarmed him. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. 11 people are dead and 9 more injured after a man started shooting inside a dance hall in Monterey Park. Here is what we know. Police say the shooter is 72-year-old Hu Can Tran. The shooting started inside Star Dance Studio. Then 20 minutes later, witnesses say he showed up at Lele Ballroom in the town of Alhambra. That's where he ran into Brandon Say.
When he came in, he said nothing. His face was very stoic. The expressions were mostly in his eyes, looking around, trying to find people, trying to scout the area for other people.
Absolutely terrifying. Let's give you a look at the video of those moments. Watch as Say disappears just out of view of the surveillance camera, and then he comes back eventually with the gun. He and Tran shoved each other before the shooter, wearing the knit cap, eventually left. Detectives, you see it here, caught up with Tran Sunday afternoon, surrounding him in a white van in another suburb, Torrance, and that is when police say they heard a single shot and found Tran dead in the driver's seat. Now, last night, investigators searched Tran's home in Hemet. That's about 80 miles to the east. They say they recovered hundreds of rounds of ammunition, also evidence he was manufacturing gun suppressors.
And now to a local connection to this deadly mass shooting. A Vietnamese-American lawmaker here in Oregon knows people in that community, and she says these tragedies are hitting close to home. Bryant Clerkley had the chance to speak with a state representative and a woman living in Monterey Park, near where the shooting happened. Bryant, what did they have to say about this?
Hey, Laurel, Representative Thuy Tran says the Asian community here in Oregon is well connected to the Asian community in California. She says these shootings are happening too often, and for it to happen during a Lunar New Year celebration is even more heartbreaking. She has a friend that lives in Monterey Park and owns a law firm right across the street from where the shooting happened, and she knew a lot of the victims.
So my friend, Elizabeth Yang, is a community member in the area, as well as a small business owner, and her friend's brother was one of those who got shot.
Flashing lights, crime scene tape, and a chaotic scene outside a Los Angeles area ballroom dance club during a Lunar New Year celebration on Saturday. Authorities say a 72-year-old man killed 11 people and wounded several others inside Star Ballroom Dance Studio late Saturday night. The Asian community in the area still reeling from this tragedy. Oregon Representative Thuy Tran has friends who live in Monterey Park, California, so the senseless violence is hitting close to home.
And I hope this shooting does not be representative of what the new norm can be. It is very sad for the communities in California, Southern California, as well as for the Asian community. We all have families and friends throughout the states.
Elizabeth Yang is a friend of Rep. Thuy Tran and owns Yang Law Offices, which is right across the street from the ballroom where the shooting happened. Yang says she's also a member at the ballroom and knows a lot of the victims.
One of the victims who we found out died yesterday was our dance teacher, Mr. Ma. He has been a crucial part of the dance studio for so many years.
The suspect killed himself in a van that authorities say he used to flee after attempting to attack a second dance studio. This was the nation's 5th mass killing this month, and Asian communities across the country have been targets of high-profile violence in recent years. Yang says she does not think this was a hate crime since the suspect was part of the community and had been ballroom dancing at the studio for over 20 years.
Very likely, this was another case of mental health, because why else would a 72-year-old man all of a sudden decide to shoot up 2 dance studios?
Now, what more can we do with regards to gun safety and violent prevention? No one should fear for their lives while at a community event or a celebration.
And Yang went on to say that this was the first Lunar New Year celebration in 3 years because of the pandemic. Laurel?
Such an incredible tragedy. Thank you, Brian. And tonight on NBC Nightly News, Lester Holt anchors from Monterey Park, California. You'll hear much more from his conversation with the hero who disarmed the shooter, along with stories from survivors that are still just beginning to emerge. That's coming up on Nightly News right here at 5:30.
Let's get to local headlines now. In a shooting this morning in Salem, where police say officers shot and killed an armed robbery suspect. Let's bring in Mike Benner near Kubler and Commercial. That's a few miles south of the city center. Mike, it sounds like you have a significant update for us, including the identity of that man who was killed.
Yeah, David, good evening. His name is Michael James Compton. He's 27 years old, and we're told he fired at least one shot at officers. We understand he had a loaded magazine in his pocket as well. Authorities say around 9 o'clock this morning, Compton was involved in an armed robbery and attempted carjacking in the parking lot of the Walmart on Commercial Street. As officers responded, Compton went to the nearby Planet Fitness, where he's accused of trying to steal another car before running across the street to the Napa Auto Parts parking lot. It's here where there was some sort of confrontation and an exchange of gunfire between Compton and police officers. Witnesses recall hearing dozens of shots. I want you to listen to what one witness had to say.
He turned around and he shot a couple times, and then the cops shot back, which they should have, and they hit him a couple times. He fell to the ground. He got back up. He didn't get totally back up. He just leaned up back up and started shooting again. Then the cops started shooting him about 6 or 8 times and really hit him, really knocked him down. He was gone.
Yeah, as you heard there, Compton was killed at the scene, but there were no injuries to bystanders or the involved officers. Identified tonight as Justin Carney, Christy Fitzpatrick, Reese Mathis, Adam Waite, and Robert Acosta. One more thing worth mentioning, police tell us that Compton had warrants for his arrest out of Clackamas and Lane counties. Let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Mike. We're learning new details about the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. Brian Koberger had an online job interview with the Pullman Police Department. He was one of 4 candidates for a position with Pullman PD. Documents obtained in a public records request show Koberger had an online job interview with the Pullman police chief in April of 2022. There was even a thank you email he sent after that meeting. At the time, he was applying for a research assistantship for a public safety position. The job was supposed to start last August. The records don't say whether Koberger got the job.
Well, this evening, a woman is sharing details of a terrifying trip to the Vancouver Mall. She says 2 teenage boys threatened her with a knife in the parking lot and then took off with her car. Paige Williams says one of the teens came up behind her Saturday afternoon between 2 vehicles and told her to give them her car keys or they would cut her face. Now, here is how she described her reaction in those moments.
I wasn't going to challenge what they were doing. I was at that point, I thought, you have the knife and you're this stupid to approach somebody in broad daylight, you can have my key. It's my car versus my life.
Well, shortly after the carjacking, Vancouver police found the suspects driving the vehicle. Officers say they tried to stop them, but they took off. Police eventually caught the teens about 17 miles away in Clackamas County. They are 13 and 14 years old. They are both in custody. Williams says her car is totaled. She was not injured. Thank goodness for that.